imagine you want to have a better interaction with somebody, and empathy is a prized thought. It is a feeling, right? To be able to identify with the feelings of somebody else, that compassion that you have, or that understanding that you have, or that connection that you can have, or that perspective or appreciation, whatever that may be. Let's just say, sake of argument, you want to have a better discussion with your spouse, you want to have a better discussion with your coworker, your customer, your client, whoever it might be. But let's say you're the customer service agent, that's your job. And if you are serving somebody else, whether you're picking up the phone and you're helping them with their issue, or you're answering their email and you're helping them with your issue, the one thing that you can be fairly certain about from a thoughts perspective in recognizing what's coming at you is that whoever is contacting you because something is wrong in their life. Something is wrong with your product, something is wrong with your service. They have a question. They're not calling the helpline because they want to tell you what a great job you're doing. Now, what most people do is, their thoughts are automatic. If they're having a bad day, their thoughts are automatic. If they're having a bad week or a bad life, their thoughts are automatic. So in order to be empathetic or maintain that level of interpretation of what it is that you're about to discuss with them or help them with, there's something that you need to do that I think sets you in the right frame of mind, so that when you do actually field the call, you're going to be in the right frame of mind to be empathetic and to be effective in handling that. And the one thing that customer service agent can do is take a pause. It could be seconds, it could be minutes, but before they pick up that phone or before they answer that email, recognize this person has a problem. I don't know if I'm the first person that this person is talking to. I don't know if I'm the 10th person. I don't know how long this person's been waiting on our silly IVR and how frustrated they might be. I don't know how many times they've called, right? This is something that's a prelude that sets your mind in the right place, so that when you pick that phone up or you answer that email, when you come at it, recognizing or reminding yourself that this is a possibility, and not only a possibility, but a probability in this case, you're going to be in a much better frame of mind to then practice it in the doing, in the handling of the interaction, whatever that interaction might be, whether it's a phone call or a response via email. And then once it's done, taking a moment to look back and was I actually empathetic? Did I actually effectively answer the question, the call, the issue, resolve it, or whatever it might be? Here's another one that is along the same lines. And I've mentioned this a few times to you guys before, right? Right now, 11:12 on a Thursday, I'm your customer service agent, right? I get to come and I have the privilege of sharing my time with you and teaching you and helping you. And before every single show, just like that customer service agent, I sit in that chair back there in that pretty gloomy room right now today because it's pouring rain. And I think about who would show up on a Thursday, right? In the middle of the day, somebody's going to spend some time with me. Chances are pretty high that they need help. They have some issues, or they have some aspirations, or maybe they just want to learn. But any which way, right, they're taking their time and attention. Now, I can't remember what it's like not to know what I know. They don't know what I know. If they knew what I knew, they wouldn't be sitting here listening to me, kind of thing, right? So what might they be going through? They're probably going to ask me similar questions that they've asked me before, somebody else has asked me before, or I've created a video on it before. But somebody might have just found me 5 minutes ago, and they don't know that last week I put a video out, or 5 years ago I put a video out on that subject, or why would I think that they would watch all that stuff or be able to digest it? And even if they found. So all these thoughts I use to remind myself, so that when I sit here and I'm about to teach you or I'm about to answer your question, all of that stuff, I've conditioned myself to remember it and for it to be in the forefront of my mind, because it's going to shape the way that I'm going to respond to you. And then each time I go through the questions in the Q&A, I reset that. And then what do? I try to be as effective, compassionate, empathetic to your situation when I give you my insight. And then what? When I'm done with this, I rewatch the show and I look at every single minute, multiple times usually, to look at how was I? You know what? That might not have been a question to be sassy. I probably should have been a bit more compassionate to that person who had a problem. I'll remind myself of that, so that the next time that I come back to this is my 300th show. So you would think I would have this down, but every single time, think about people who operate at a very high level. Anything. You see professional golfers using aids. You see them going through the same routine before they hit every shot, right? Everything is conditioned. It has a prelude, it has an execution, and then it has an evaluation, right? So if you think about it, now, I don't expect you to be blown away by my little formula here, but I want you to think about when I'm interacting with somebody, this can apply to any interaction that you have. The before, do you have a reminder and do you anticipate in a positive manner? I'm talking about anticipate what could happen. Yes, it might be negative, but I'm anticipating that when something like that happens, I'm going to remain positive in my response because that's what I can control. During it, are you practicing it effectively? And then after, do you actually reflect? Right? When you go into the meeting with the team, are you actually going to think about it for a few minutes, recognize that this one might talk too much, your boss might be having a bad day, all that stuff could be present. But are you taking the time to actually consider and think about what you're about to do? What they might be going through. How might your boss be feeling? Your boss might not be behaving well, but might he or she be feeling frustrated because their butt's on the line and they're relying on you to help them? That kind of stuff, right? But our own, right, immediate, urgent, real thoughts say, our boss is not being nice to me, right? So how do you change that? By taking the time to do these things over and over and over again. This really matters. It really matters that you take the time. Now, I don't know how many of you, right? That's pretty common sense, but is it always common practice? Do you actually do it? I mean, show of hands. Do any of you, as you walk throughout your day, I would like you to know, and people in my leadership program know this because I teach these principles, but as I go through each part of my day, I actually have to think about in each of my transitions of activities, even when I'm by myself. I go through that little formula very quickly to make sure that I'm dialed in. I know how I'm going to handle this. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I need to get done. I know how I want to feel about it, and I know what success looks like. Okay, so when you're interacting with each other, that's something that you should do. Think about this. When my wife walks in the door at the end of the day, I don't know what kind of day she's had. So I say to myself, she could be happy. She could be sad. She maybe had a great day. Maybe she had a rough day. She had a rough day. How am I gonna react to that? It's not automatic, right? I had a long day too. So anything in your life, when you interact with others, it is about being able to intercept and become mindful of what it is you are about to engage with. That's the only way that you will ultimately have lasting change when you think about interacting with others.